Hare Krishna everyone. I am Kavya Budhiraja. Welcome back to Being Krishna Conscious. Today, I'll tell you a story. But this story is not at all imaginary. This is a real life incident which happened in the life of His Holiness Badri Narayan Swami Maharaj. And this story will compel all of us to think in a direction which is beyond our eyes, our ears, and our imagination. So, without any further delay, let us begin with this video. Now, let me tell you what exactly happened. There was a person named Mr. Prakash. Originally, he was from South India, so by nature, he was a kind of reserved person. At that time, he used to live with his wife in San Diego, which is in the United States of America. So while staying there, Mr. Prakash used to regularly visit the local ISKCON temple in San Diego, but somehow or the other, he was not that enthusiastic on this path of Krishna consciousness. Now, Mr. Prakash was suffering from a problem named cerebral thrombosis. In simple words, there was blood clotting in the vessels of his brain. So Mr. Prakash had to immediately rushed to the hospital. And there, the doctors said that there was a requirement of a surgery to be performed. Now, during the surgery, the doctors almost lost Mr. Prakash 4 times. Yes, it was like death came, touched him, and went away. But by the end of that, Mr. Prakash fell into coma for several weeks. Now, during this time wherein Mr. Prakash was in coma, Mrs. Prakash, the wife of Mr. Prakash, she called up a senior devotee from San Diego. And the name of that devotee was His Grace Badri Narayan Prabhu. Well, at that time, His Holiness Badri Narayan Swami Maharaj had not taken up sannyas order. So, for the sake of narrating this particular incident and to actually understand what happened therein, we'll also be referring to Maharaj as His Grace Badri Prabhu only. So, Mataji humbly asked His Grace Badri Narayan Prabhuji that Prabhuji, as my husband has slipped into coma, I really humbly request you to kindly pray for him, and if possible, could you also please come to the hospital, read scriptures to him, kindly pray for him and chant while sitting beside him? Now, as a pure-hearted devotee of the Lord, His Grace Badri Prabhu humbly agreed, and then he used to come often to the hospital and sit beside Mr. Prakash, who was still in coma, and he used to study scriptures, chant to him constantly, pray with him, pray for him. So all of these things kept happening. Now, after several weeks, His Grace Badri Prabhu received a call from Mrs. Prakash. So he picked up the call, and on the call, Mrs. Prakash exclaimed that, Prabhuji, my husband has come out of coma and he deeply desires to speak with you. Could you please kindly come to the hospital? Badri Prabhu agreed, and he immediately went to the hospital. Now, as he entered, he saw that all the relatives of Mr. Prakash had come there and gathered around him. So he sat there. Mr. Prakash looked at him and told him, Badri, 4 times they came. 4 times they came. Well, no one could really comprehend what Mr. Prakash was trying to say. So the relatives thought that, oh, maybe Mr. Prakash is talking about us. So they all told him that, yes, we all came to see you and inquire about your condition, but you were still in coma. Mr. Prakash shook his head as if to indicate that this is not what I am talking about. He again said, Badri, 4 times they came. By that time, one of the hospital staff members said, yes, for almost 4 times we lost you. Mr. Prakash again shook his head. Now Badri Prabhu started to realize what Mr. Prakash was trying to indicate. Badri Prabhu came forward and he asked, are you talking about the Vishnu Dutas? Did they come? Mr. Prakash shook his head. No, it was the bad people. Badri Prabhu said, were it the Yamadutas? Mr. Prakash said, yes. And they came 4 times. When they came for the first time, they wanted to take me away. But I said that I am simply dependent on Krishna. Do that you want to do. And then they left. Now, Mr. Prakash continued. Then they came for the second time and they wanted to take me away. But I simply repeated that I am only dependent on Sri Krishna. Do whatever you want to do. And they left again. Then they came for the third time, and this time they insisted that I should go with them. But I said, do whatever you must. But I am simply dependent on my Lord, Sri Krishna. And they left. And when those Yamadutas came for the 4th time to finally take me away with them, some of the Vishnu Dutas also came. And as soon as those Yamadutas saw Vishnu Dutas, they simply said, okay, now this person is not under our jurisdiction anymore. We must go now. And they went away. And then Mr. Prakash continued, and now I've come out of coma. There was pin drop silence in the hospital room. Everyone was trying to comprehend that what had happened just now. That is when Mr. Prakash came closer and told His Grace Badri Prabhu, Prabhu, earlier I was not that serious, but now 100% sure. So this is what happened with Mr. Prakash. Now Mr. Prakash was not initiated. He at that particular time had not taken initiation, but because of his desire, because of his sincere determination to pursue this path of Krishna consciousness, to understand Krishna, and simply showing sincere dependence on the Lord, even the Yamadutas had to leave empty-handed. This is the power of faith. This is the power of surrender. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami mashucha. He says that abandon all activities and surrender only unto me. But are we really ready to surrender unto Him? How many of us could actually handle this situation just like Mr. Prakash did? So does that mean that we should stop trying? No. Krishna sees the sincere endeavor, and if our curiosity is sincere, athato brahma jigyasa, if our determination to know Krishna, if our determination to please Him is sincere, then Krishna would even be willing to send Vishnu Dutas to save us from the pash of Yamaraj and to make us realize that what the real goal of this human form of life really is. And this incident is actually a great example to show that the pain that Krishna gives us is actually different. The perspective of a devotee and the perspective of a karmi or a material person who is not into spirituality, how both of these could be different? Well, externally the pain could seem similar, but the inherent essence of that pain for a karmi is to just bring on his real karma, his actual karma, his karmic reaction that he is supposed to go through. But for a devotee, that pain is mostly in the form of a blessing, so that the attachment that he has to Krishna further increases. And this is what happened in the case of Mr. Prakash. He became so enthusiastic, his faith got so deepened into Krishna, and in bhakti he got even more sincere and determined. So taking this to be a rebirth as a gift by Krishna, Mr. Prakash was ready to spend his entire remaining life in the service of Lord Sri Krishna. But the question is, are we ready to do that? Are we ready to dovetail our endeavors into Krishna's service? Because the day when we start to sincerely inquire about Krishna would be the day when we are going to attract the real mercy, ahetuki apratihata, the real devotional substance for the service of Lord Sri Krishna and His unalloyed, purest devotees. So taking lesson from this particular incident, let us all try to invoke Krishna into our life and take a step closer to Him. हरे कृष्णा, जय जय श्री राधे श्याम, जय जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि बोल, हरे कृष्णा।